Hello and welcome to IB Times TV. I'm Marisa Christian. Today I'm speaking with our freelance reporter from Cairo, Daria Solovieva, to talk about the crisis in Egypt. Daria, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, Marisa.
Tell me a little bit about your surroundings. Where are you now?
I'm in a residential neighborhood of Zamalek, which is about a mile away from Tahrir Square, and it's actually just behind me, a few meters away, is a major site of the bridge where the bulk of the clashes took place last Friday during the Day of Rage.
I know last week we saw a string of violence on the streets in Egypt. Reports claim that some 900 people were killed following the military's attempt to disperse demonstrations in support of ousted President Mohamed Morsi. This week, the Egyptian military has extended its crackdown on supporters of the ousted president, arresting leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood. What is the military's intentions with these arrests?
Well, the military has been conducting a wide-ranging crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood and the former leaders. So the supreme leader of the Muslim Brotherhood has been arrested over the last few days. A lot of the Islamist networks have been closed down. So it's been a wide-ranging operation following the sit-ins last week to crack down and not just remove them from power, but also remove them from public life in Egypt.
What are the conditions like in Cairo? I understand the violence has slowed down a little bit, but there's still a curfew.
Yes, the curfew is still in place, and there's still an emergency law in place. So the everyday life for people in Egypt has been very restricted. Most people just go to jobs. They're not able to go out, shop, meet with friends. So the purchasing power has decreased. A lot of the shops are closed down. There's 50% sales everywhere. People are not really able to go about their lives in the normal way. So the life has been at a standstill for the past week since the violence broke.
So there have been reports of attacks on Christian churches in Egypt. Why are these attacks occurring, and do we have any indication of who's behind them?
Yes, I've spoken to several human rights advocates and Christian activists who are saying that there's been an unprecedented rise in violence against Christian communities around Egypt. Most of the churches around Cairo have been intact. There has been police and vigilantes and neighborhood groups who are protecting them, but all around Egypt, in the areas where the community of Christians are much higher, Coptic Christians, there have been a lot more attacks over the past week in retaliation of violence and crackdown against the Muslim Brotherhood. So the government and the Christian communities are saying that these are retaliations by the Muslim Brotherhood against the Christian community, but still there is not conclusive evidence that these are in fact the Muslim Brotherhood organized on an organizational level, that these could be also Islamist groups or thugs or unidentified members. We don't have conclusive evidence about who is behind these attacks.
Now, we just got word that former Egyptian leader Hosni Mubarak has been released, but he was sentenced to life. Explain how this happens.
Well, actually, he has been acquitted. There are several charges pending against him, and he was acquitted of the charge against killing of protesters back in April. The reason that he has been released now is there are several charges that were brought up against him by the prosecution during the Morsi government, including charges of corruption and embezzlement of Al-Ahram and a few publishing houses. So the reason that he is being released now is a legal technicality because he has been in pre-trial detention for over 2 years, and so that he's being released now. But because of the political situation now, he cannot be seen walking around, and there's absolutely nothing for the current interim government to win by releasing Mubarak. He's put in house arrest. That's where he will be.
What impact, if any, will this have on the protests and the current chaos that's going on in Egypt?
Surprisingly little, because if the Mubarak trial a year ago has captivated, everybody was watching the Mubarak trial and what's going to happen to him, because this was the main impetus, united Egyptians in January 2011 revolution against Mubarak, and to united all of them against one man. Now it has surprisingly little reaction with everything else going on in the country. There's indifference, and not as many people are protesting it.
Since I know you're in Cairo, how has the vibe changed in the city from last week to this week?
Well, the curfew is still in place, and the emergency law is still in place in Egypt since last week. So the movement, so moving around, has been restricted. People who worked long hours up through until 6, 7 p.m. are not able to go out shopping. The purchasing power has decreased. So there hasn't been as much movement.
Okay, Daria, thank you so much. We'll be in touch soon to get some more updates.
Thank you. You're welcome.